والهجرة الانتقال من بلد الشرك إلى بلد الإسلام. والهجرة فريضة على هذه الأمة من بلد الشرك إلى بلد الإسلام، وهي باقية إلى أن تقوم الساعة. والدليل قوله تعالى: إن الذين توفاهم الملائكة ظالمي أنفسهم قالوا فيم كنتم؟ قالوا كنا مستضعفين في الأرض. قالوا ألم تكن أرض الله واسعة فتهاجروا فيها فأولئك مأواهم جهنم وساءت مصيرا. إلا المستضعفين من الرجال والنساء والولدان لا يستطيعون حيلة ولا يهتدون سبيلا، فأولئك عسى الله أن يعفو عنهم، وكان الله عفوا غفورا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video. So I'm going to go into part 5 of my experience in Yemen series and move on to the next bit of the story. So I remember when we the women, we wanted to basically go to school and learn Arabic properly. So the men, our husbands, my ex-husband and the sister's husband at the time, the American sister, as well as the British brother, they coordinated with some Yemenis who were studying at the masjid, who then coordinated with the local principal at a school called School for Illiterate Arabs in Al-Hulayda. So school was in session actually after Asr. It wasn't in the morning, or maybe it was in the morning. I'm not going to say that. The classes that we attended were in the afternoon after Asr, and but they were young children in the class. I would say like middle school age, and we shared a classroom with them. Of course, because we were at a lower level of Arabic, I think even the level that they were at was above the level that we should have been on. However, I appreciated the experience, and I read along and followed along with the teacher, with the books that we had and things like that. So we stayed there. I think we went for, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 weeks realistically. And then we were not allowed to stay at the school because things started to really, really get hot. The atmosphere started to get hot with the police and looking for foreigners, trying to get them out of Yemen since 9/11 had happened. And Osama bin Laden had been being accused of them being the mastermind behind, bringing down the Twin Towers and things like that. And he's from Yemen. Of course, between Yemen and Saudi, they were just trying to pin the whole thing on, Yemenis, Saudis. I think some from Kuwait and even Emiratis, they were saying that some of the hijackers were from those countries. So Yemen, of course, was on the map, and Yemen didn't want any foreigners in the country so that they can make sure there was no terrorism going on. So they did a sweep, and they were going through, I'm not sure if they were going through each city, but I know in Hodeidah they were doing a sweep. But from my understanding, I believe they were trying to get all foreigners out. So the British couple decided they were going to go. They were going to leave. And we only had a 30-day visa when we arrived to Yemen. So, and they actually took our passports, which I think it was kind of foolish, that my ex-husband thought we would be able to just stay in there like that. When they have your passport, they gave us a stamped document for 30-day visa. And we stayed in the country like 7 to 8 months. So that was, of course, they're going to come and look for you. But that's what he did. And, the British family left. And my ex-husband, he wanted to stay. And no matter how much I told him that we should leave, he wanted to stay. And him and the American brother were paying Yemenis to try to go and get our passports back somehow. And then they would get robbed. The Yemenis would just run off with the money. So that was kind of futile. They didn't, reach their goal. I don't know why I don't know what they were thinking. But, the Yemenis mean business. When a country wants you out, they mean it. They're not, it's not a game. So, after the men kept getting, basically they got robbed a couple of times from the Yemenis. I guess they put it out of their minds, for a little while. Ducking and hiding. And while, the women were in the house, we're covered, so they don't know the difference between us. But whenever the men would go to the masjid, the Yemenis would alert them if it was an official who came in the masjid. They would alert them by like their eyes or something like that, like telling them, be careful or look out, or it's an official behind you or something like that. And my ex-husband took extreme measures. He, I ain't gonna put him out there, but he took extreme measures basically, so that he wouldn't be noticed, walking about through the streets, hiding, and even wanting to, or posing that we move to an area in that I like to call Tin Land. I had never seen a place like this except on the movies, where the whole town or the whole area was just made up of tin walls, and there were no roofs. There was nothing covering the tops of those places. It was just walls of tin separating where the people lived, their living quarters, from the walkway. And but this area had a masjid, and I think it was Sheikh Muhammad Wasabi, rahimahullah, Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab. One of his students was down there in this particular area teaching. And what stood out, something that was interesting, was they would cook for the people, like whole chickens and stuff like that. A lot of chickens, and then rice. He would feed them, the neighborhood people, once a day. And also I noticed there were like barrels of water, like you see on television or the Discovery Channel or History Channel, where those big, huge, tall, yellow containers of water, where people go down to the village people will go down to the water fountain or the well and pump water and then carry it on their heads and or lug it up the hill or something like that. That's what they had. Every person had that. And I saw the people bringing water jugs to the houses, to where they lived. And I don't know if my ex-husband went in the masjid and maybe met a brother, but we wound up in one of those people's homes, one of those Yemeni people's homes. And now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if they were refugees. They spoke Arabic, and perhaps they were refugees because that was kind of strange, or maybe just extremely poor Yemenis. I don't know, but of course, I didn't have I was young, and I'm coming out of America, so I wasn't that inquisitive to really know what to ask, or even what am I looking at exactly. I just knew it was a culture shock, and I was surprised to see people live like that. And when we wound up in this family's home or living quarters, and then there was another tin wall separating where she lived from her neighbor, and the sister who was the neighbor stood up on like a stool and looked over into her place, and she had a baby in her hand, and she like spoke to me or something, and I'm just looking like, wow, this is something. And then I think they had like a little brick kitchen. It was small, only one person could probably fit in it. And she had like a little small booba, the gas propane canister, and like a little cooking station where she, of course, I guess she cooked there, and she made some tea. I didn't drink any, of course, but she had the basin where she would wash clothes in. Remember I told you about the yellow container? They used that to flush flush the toilet. It wasn't really a toilet. It was just like a hole in the ground, and it was tarp pinned on what, I don't know, but it was like a little dome that they had made, for bathroom quarters, and it was just like a hole in the ground where they would go to the bathroom. Alhamdulillah, I didn't have to use the bathroom, but I just was thinking like, okay, and the sister had like a baby, so I was like, okay, so this has to be stressful if she has this child, and children like to crawl around, and what if the child goes into that hole or something like that? I just was like, this is wild. This is really wild. Like, it was no difference between the inside of her house and the outside. The dirt ground and things like that. I just was like, this is very interesting. She had a bed, like a wooden frame and a mattress. And if anybody who mixed with the Yemenis, they have, like with the babies, they have like something, like a sheet that they tie to the bed, kind of like a swing that they create for the babies. And they put the baby in there, and they swing, they swing the baby if they're crying and stuff to keep them quiet. So she had that, and she was swinging the baby, but you could just tell, it was a stressful situation. But she was happy. And I asked her, I was like, you want more children? And she was like, no, I don't want any more children. So, and, like I said, it was just basic conversation. I was talking to her, little basic stuff. She asked each other how old we were. I can't remember how old she was. She wasn't old, though. I asked her how long had she been married. She said like a year and some change. And then she said she had asked me about America, and did the houses in America look like this, like what she was living in. And my eyes got big and was like, okay, I said, let me watch how I respond and react. And I was like, no, the houses don't look like this in America. But I just was like, okay, well, she doesn't have a television. But it was very interesting, I was just like thinking, I remember so many things going through my head. I was like, okay, so when it rains, then what? Like they don't have any shelter. There's, I think it was like a canopy over her bed, and that was about it. And like I said, the kitchen was like a little brick kitchen, like a makeshift brick kitchen. I'm not sure. I think those of you who live in Egypt, And you see how the Boabs have those little gray brick, little small little places where they sleep. Or even outside of a construction site, you'll have the Egyptians where they'll make it look a little brick, dwelling, where they sit in because they're watching a building or something like that. So that's how the kitchen was, but it was a little bit smaller. But I was blown away. Like I said, my 19-year-old self, I was just really blown away, to see something like that up close and personal. And it doesn't stop there. So once we left from that area. He brought me down there because he was actually thinking about moving us down there. I looked at him like he lost his mind. I said, "Oh no, oh no! First you had me living crazy, and in a almost abandoned, yeah, it wasn't no, not almost an abandoned old villa with creepy crawlies and all sorts of lizards and whatever crawling all everywhere, and then you want to move me to, I mean, what is you must be crazy. That's not going to happen." So, of course, I firmly deny. He was just going to have us ducking and live. Why are you so adamant on staying here? I don't understand if they want you out. I just couldn't understand that. So I said a firm no. I'm not moving down here. I don't think so. We need to go back to Egypt until this blows over. He didn't want to listen. So he didn't want to listen. And, things started getting more heated. And the American brother, actually wound up getting arrested. And he found out about it. My ex-husband told me, "Oh, the brother, he got arrested. So we're gonna have to leave. We're gonna grab his wife and we're gonna leave, in the morning," and things like that. We never made it. In the morning. I think I talked to her the night that it happened, or I think she went to Sheikh Muhammad's house and was crying and stuff like that. I got a chance to talk to her and told her, and my ex-husband said, "Oh yeah, we're going to leave in the morning." And she said, "I'm not leaving my husband." And of course, she was older than me. She was much older than me. And thinking back, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't leave either. Like, well, I'm not leaving him. That doesn't make any sense. Why would I leave him? He's here arrested, locked up. Why would I leave the country like that? No, I'm going to stay here until we figure this out. So, yeah, rightfully so. She was right for that. But once the morning came, my ex-husband went out. I'm not even sure where he went or why he went out. But he went out, and next thing I know, there was an army. The army was outside our house. I mean, banging on the window. They surrounded the house, banging, screaming my ex-husband's name. So he was on, they knew who he was. And they were banging and banging. And out, me and the children were just in the room under the window, in the sitting room, in the sala, where the living room. So afraid, and I was holding the children's mouths and just telling them not to say anything, and don't cry, and to be really, really quiet. And they were banging on the windows and calling his name and saying like, "Come out," and things like that. And I was like, I just can't believe this is happening to me. This is not real. This can't be real. So, they were doing that for a while. It seemed like forever. Maybe it wasn't that long, but it just seemed like a really long time. They were banging on the windows and on the doors. They were trying to kick the door in. But then my ex-husband, I guess he came up on a motorcycle. It was like a taxi motorcycle. And he tried to tell the motorcycle to keep going, but he wouldn't. The motorcycle driver said, "No, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to stop right here." And the army, they grabbed him. And he threw whatever he had in his hands, including money, into the house. And he was, they were grabbing him by the shoulder, grabbing him by the collar, trying to get him out the door. And he was telling, I don't even remember what the man was saying. I just was like so shocked. Like, what is going on here? What is going to happen next? Oh, this is just crazy. So, so he gets taken away by the army. And I'm stuck. I'm with two children. I don't know what to do. And mashallah, later on that night, this happened in the morning. So later on that night, a Yemeni neighbor, he came and he slipped me a note. He spoke English, and I didn't know that, but he spoke English and he wrote and told me that everything's gonna be okay and that that my ex-husband was in prison and don't worry and things are gonna be okay. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out like what to do. I don't know what to do. So the next morning, the Yemeni sisters came over, and I told them I was gonna be leaving and that they could have everything that I had in the house. They could have our mattress. That's of course the things that belong to us, because there were some things that were already in the house since we were renting from the family, the Yemeni family that had went to Saudi. So I let them have, like our blender and the mattress and whatever other things that we, small things that we brought along with us, the food and the spices and things like that. Miscellaneous stuff. So after that, they took those things and they sat with me and was asking me questions. I just was like, I don't know. I don't do anything. So then the officials, some officials came in, knocked on the door, and they got us. They took me and the children. They brought me outside, and the sister was already in the truck. It was like a pickup truck. She was already in it. And then they put us in. And I remember all of the Yemeni kids surrounding the truck, like just being nosy, see what was going on. Everybody was outside. And one of the Yemeni officials was like, Yella, get back. Trying to hit them with a stick, like, get out of here, get back, get out of here, mind your business. And then they took us and, we went to the prison where the men were. We stayed there for some hours. The sister and I were in there, and the jail looked terrible, like something that you see off of a movie, a dated movie, like a war movie or something like that. It looked just like that with the rusty, torn curtain separating the bars, separating one cell from another. And it was a man in the next cell trying to peek in on me and his sister. It was crazy. It looked, it was terrible. It was terrible. Bathroom was terrible. It was just a mess. Looked like a cave. Yeah, that's what it looked like. So we're in there with two children, and the sister was pregnant, and the guard, or the lead, I think she was an assistant. She wasn't a guard. She was an assistant in the prison. And she came and brought us like a little plate of eggs, like a real small plate for us to share. And I just was like, I just wish this man would have listened. This is a very, very, very sad situation to be in. But alhamdulillah, we didn't stay in there long. Not in that prison anyway. And Sheikh Muhammad, rahimahullah, he came and he got us out. Well, he reasoned with the officials for them to let us out. So basically, they took us. He said that we were, studying with him and things like that, and he would be responsible, and pleaded with them to let us out. And the Sheikh's family, Wasabi, that's a famous tribe in Yemen. They have a lot of respect and things like that. For those who know, Yemen is very tribal, or don't know, those who don't know. It's a very tribal place. In some territories in Yemen, the tribes run it, and even the police, they don't have any, power or influence in those particular areas. So they respected the Sheikh, and they let us out. Oh no, they took us, rather. They transported us from Hudaydah to Sana'a, and they put the men in the prison there in Sana'a, and they put us in a hotel. Of course, the men had to pay for it. But we were guarded, like we weren't allowed to leave the hotel. And the bellboy or whatever, he used to have to go and buy whatever I needed. I didn't know that we couldn't leave until I tried to go out to go get Pampers. And I was stopped, and they were like, "Where you going? You can't leave. What do you need?" "Okay, I'll get whatever you need." So I was like, "Okay. Oh yeah, we can't leave. We're stuck in here. We're like prisoners." All right. So that's all I have for now, and I'll get into the rest in the next audio, in the next video. So I thank y'all for listening. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I apologize, Mom. It starts, I'm reliving that, thinking about it. I laugh, but sad, and this was only the beginning of some really, really sad parts of my life that followed. It seemed like one thing after another, disaster. But thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Inshallah. Ma salama.
والهجرة الانتقال من بلد الشرك إلى بلد الإسلام. والهجرة فريضة على هذه الأمة من بلد الشرك إلى بلد الإسلام، وهي باقية إلى أن تقوم الساعة. والدليل قوله تعالى: إن الذين توفاهم الملائكة ظالمي أنفسهم قالوا فيم كنتم؟ قالوا كنا مستضعفين في الأرض. قالوا ألم تكن أرض الله واسعة فتهاجروا فيها؟ فأولئك مأواهم جهنم وساءت مصيرا. إلا المستضعفين من الرجال والنساء والولدان لا يستطيعون حيلة ولا يهتدون سبيلا. فأولئك عسى الله أن يعفو عنهم، وكان الله عفوا غفورا.